Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Hi.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad that you killed that imp. He was so much fun to play.
I
Sorry.
know.
The great thing about
I wanted to hang out with Pip.
I mean, you knew it was inevitable.
yes, it was. It's true. But the great thing about demons, the great thing about demons and devils is that you can anytime you want.
They can just keep coming back.
Keep coming back. Get that find familiar? No, he wouldn't appreciate that relationship.
I can
cruel.
definitely summon Pip Yap back.
Yeah. So the time is now to go and check out the barn of Halvin Grangle. Is that the plan?
Sure is.
All right. Okay, so Halvin Grangle, secluded woodworker, lives in a farmhouse just on the edge of the woods, right? Because he's got to go and like get wood to craft so he can sell things in town. So the approach to his farmhouse leads you to a small hollow within a copse of trees right on the edge of the forest proper. The house has definitely seen better days, as evidenced by loose boards and shingles, peeling whitewash, and a handful of stones that have fallen from the leaning chimney. A small barn around the back leans even more, and vines have grown up to cover most of it. From here, there seems to be nothing obvious and like remarkable. It's not like, you know, anything immediately leaps out about the house. What would you like to do?
We approach it and, you know, key door.
There's another, sorry, that is, yep, good idea. Another point of order, Adam.
Yes.
I got vengeance for the cow. As a good thing that I did. And I went and I reported it back to the guy.
Okay.
I'm a paladin with the oath of vengeance. Does this now fulfill the requirements for me getting inspiration, because it was a character thing, not just flavor?
I'll give you inspiration, but under the assumption that in the future, if there are other cows that need vengeance, you'll be ready to leap to their aid.
Avenger of cows.
Yeah, that like in
The Cow Avenger.
seriously, in like a year, when Lane is like level 12 or whatever, I'm gonna be like, awesome, you reached the climax of the adventure, but first, a cow is in danger. So remember, you are now Lane, protector of bovines. Yeah, Bessie will be waiting for you in heaven.
There is no cow heaven.
Yeah. Whoa.
It
All
was
right.
in my Diablo reference.
I get it. It's fine. I understand.
There is a cow level, okay? It's a real thing.
So there's the barn and the house itself. You want to go to the house first?
I mean, the keys for the house or the barn?
It'd be the key for the house. The barn doesn't look like Halvin lives in it.
Yeah, we'll go to the house first.
Okay. All right. So you approach the house of Halvin Grangle, and the door, as said, was like it's left open. Actually, I guess the villagers, because they're villagers and they have like habits that are hard to break, someone would have closed the door, but they didn't lock it. So you get there and you open it, and yeah, it's a dim and dusty house that looks like no one's been here in some time. It's just like a single room with a table, a few pieces of furniture, a bed off to one side, and some cupboards on the wall.
Can we just do a search, like a
Rummage.
through?
Yeah. You wanna make somebody can make an investigation check, sure.
Yeah. Andrew, do you want to lead this? Because
roll
you have the
it.
highest investigation.
Yeah, I got a 23.
Whoa, Graveris. All right, so
And you know what? Mask is helping, so I got a 26.
okay, all right.
So good at searching people's houses.
I have some practice at this.
Excellent. Okay. So you begin to search the room. And I'm gonna call Dave out on a bad pun in chat. You have to say that pun out loud, Dave. You have to.
Okay. Yeah, today was a good session for Lane's character development.
Cal Richter, get out. I'm taking your inspiration away. You have negative inspiration now.
Disadvantage.
Terrible. So Graveris, here's the thing. Like your eyes are drawn both by your own natural inclination and by Mask's gravity towards valuables, drawn to where people might hide expensive stuff in a house. Every time you enter like
I'm always casing houses.
Exactly. Always be casing. So every time you enter a place you've never been before, you're like, if I were you, I would hide my valuables there, there, and there. That's the other exit. If the cops show up, they'll come in this way. Like
Yeah.
you reverse the side of the
Going on
place.
all the time.
Yeah. So as soon as you walk in, immediately you're like, oh, right there. The cupboards, there, one of them is like definitely further out from the wall than the rest, and probably has a hidden compartment in the back.
Cool.
Yeah, you recognize it right
And
away.
I'm gonna start rummaging through that right away.
Okay. Yeah, you walk over.
If there are locks to be picked or secret compartments to be found, I'm all about it. That is the thing that excites me more than anything else.
Yeah, you walk over, you open it. It's got a couple of shelves with some basic like clay and pewter like vessel. He lives by himself, so he probably has like a bowl and like some knives and forks. Like it's pretty sparse. Maybe like a moth flutters out when you open it. But yeah, it's set a little further out from the wall than you'd think it would be.
Yeah, and so I'm like press on it or see if it like snaps open or like try to
Yeah, like tapping on the back, you can hear that it's hollow. Yeah, there's probably a clasp or something in here.
wedge a
to
knife
open
in there and pry it open. You know,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. When you take out your knife and put it in the corner, you can feel the panel like have a little give, so you can pop one of the panels off behind some cutlery. So you pop that panel off, and in the back, you can reach in and you find a small ornate silver box with the likeness of the head of a dragon etched onto the lid. It's old, but not like elf old. It's probably like a few generations old. And it's silver and has a dragon on it. It's
And so,
locked.
yeah, I like set it down on the table and I inspect it for any like, you know, spring-loaded poison needles or any of that kind of nonsense. And
Totally. Make an investigation check when you examine it for traps. Oh yeah, there are no traps at all. You are 100% certain this is a trap-free
Nailed it.
box.
I get 25, just so we're clear.
Yeah, blow that skill roll out of the water. So yeah, you're fine. It's just it's got a simple lock.
Yeah, and so can I pick the lock?
You may, yeah.
And it's sleight of hand.
For lockpicking, it's the tools. It'll be
Or,
the
yeah,
same
roll the
roll, but yeah, it's you use your tools. Okay,
And Mask is going to help me.
of course. So what's
Yep.
everybody else doing while Graveris is picking the lock? Where is everybody in the room? Are you all inside? Is anybody outside?
I am looking through this house for any sign of magic, like a book or a scroll or a secret ritual circle underneath the carpet or any of that sort of stuff. That's my whole thing right now.
Yeah, the fact that there's no sign of like demonic hoo-ha in this thing indicates to you that Grangle is probably a wizard and not a warlock. So he probably has a spell book, though if he left, he took it with him. You don't find it anywhere here. Otherwise, it looks like he's trying to. There's like I guess the other weird thing would be that there's like a bunch of like wood shavings kind of like scattered throughout on the floor. Mostly they've been kind of brushed by the passage of people through the room
This is
into
for the
corners.
carving, right?
Yeah, and so there's little wood carving, like wood scrapings are all the way around the edge of the room, like collecting at the baseboards. But no other sign. Oleander, what are you doing? It stinks of human in here.
Yeah, I'm like just I'm watching Gravars. Yeah, that's what she's doing.
You're watching his delicate hands manipulate
yes.
the lock.
Oh yes.
Okay. And Lane, what are you up to?
Just thinking if there's anything useful I could do, checking divine sense, and turns out you can't see anything that's behind cover. So,
Oh, that's a good point, Dave. I can detect magic.
yeah, detect magic might be a good shout.
I sit down in the bedroom area with my big book open in front of me, and I cast detect magic. My eyes do the fiery kind of look around, all looking for magic stuff.
So there is a general kind of like ambiance of magic in the place, but it's long faded. Like magic has been worked here before, but there's no current present magical effects. Much like the wood shavings, there's the sort of like
Just ambient,
the fluff of magic that is kind of dissolving in the air.
The fluff of magic.
obviously everybody has their magic items on them that you are familiar with, but the pin that Lane is carrying around is radiating divination magic.
Lane,
Yes.
I say, talking to you with my eyes aflame. You're the pin from the boy, from the man. It's very glowy.
I assumed it was cursed.
Well, divination. So they might be tracking us or something.
You can make an Arcana check now that you've like got a good eye on the
Yeah,
the
I would
aura
like
of
to
the
do-
thing.
I would
I'll
like to-
produce it and like let you.
Okay. Yeah, so the magic that's emanating from it is, as I said, divination by nature, and has a it's like kind of greenish waves of like misty energy sort of floating about.
So like while
Graveris, you can't help. You're picking a lock.
Okay, fine.
You're helping
While it's-
yourself.
I mean,
Mask is like focused
Dave
on
is
you.
totally helping. He's like laying it out for you to
Yeah,
work
That's
on.
what I
Yeah.
just said.
Why? Yeah, that's what Dave just said. So we're good.
This is 21. But
While this pin is like proffered out in Lane's hand, I'm sort of examining it very closely, looking for like the marks of a specific spell or like anything that might tell me something. Giving it a good, old magical detector sniff.
Okay. I think we get the like the reverse what's the name of those the orbs in Lord of the Rings that Sauron uses to spy on?
The Palanquin
Palantir, that's what it's
or
called. Yeah.
Palantir, not
Yeah.
Palanquin. That's
That's the thing you carry
another
rich
thing.
people around in, but close. So we get the Palantir thing where you backhack them, and you get a sudden glimpse of like an old elvish woman staring into a pool of clear water, and in the water you see yourself looking at the pin, and then she looks like up at your point of view and scowls and shakes her head, and she's like, "None of that, dear," and like twists her hand, and the whole scene dissipates from your view. And suddenly you can't, like, the magic from the pin kind of like flickers.
Just blink and the fire goes out.
Yeah.
Definitely watching. Definitely old elvish woman.
Jenny, was it?
Well, I don't know her name.
She's wearing a name tag. It's weird.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what the humans said, right?
but they're definitely using it to look at us.
Like before, as she did that, did the entire thing become unmagical?
No. It's still radiating divination magic, but she knows that you know, and you know that she's watching.
Well, so I just like hold the pin and like the little pearl and stuff. I'm like, any objections? And I just like begin to close my gauntlet over it just to like smash it because
I
we
like
don't-
glance up from what I'm doing. I'm just like, well, that could be worth a lot of money. And I go back to like,
Maybe stash it instead.
She already knows we're coming. Like, does it change if she knows exactly when?
Yes, a great deal.
I would like to have that tactical information.
Perhaps we
Yeah.
could just talk to her. Weren't we saying something about, not violence, something about negotiating?
I wasn't planning to
something?
attack her, but I also wouldn't like to walk over several delayed fireballs as we enter.
Yes, I think we're slightly past the solving this through diplomacy.
We could just
She
leave it
is-
here and come back and take it later.
You're right. That may perhaps work. Did you find a place we could store it?
Well, Gravaris.
I just reach over to your hand that's holding it and just like plant it in the table.
Yeah. Thunk.
That'll do fine. We'll come back for it later. No one's gonna come in this house if they know it's good for them.
Okay, yep. That's fine. I'll really push it.
And then I like
Yeah.
Pop the
Click.
lock.
And the lock pops up. Exactly. Yeah. So inside, there is a garnet, a little gemstone worth 5 gold,
and poison gas.
and yeah. I saved those things for
No, you're
last. Right. There's a magical dagger, 15 gold, a garnet, and 17 scorpions that all bite you. So you get there's 15 pieces of gold just kind of scattered in the bottom of the box.
Okay, I'm just gonna track these on my sheet.
Yeah, 15 gold, 5 garnet, 5 GP garnet, and a small, kind of elegant looking book. Yeah.
Yeah, so I pick up the book and open it and like leaf through it.
Okay. At a glance, you can tell that it's a diary. Appears to be the diary of one Halvin Grangle.
Mm. Well, what's
One Halvin Grangle or the Halvin Grangles?
Oh yeah,
Different.
he's only an aspect of the great Grangle hive mind.
Halvin Grangle Jr. Mr.
So I-
Grangle.
I
Hey,
motion
listen, Mr. Grangle's my father. You call me Halvin.
I motion for Lane to come over. Like I
It's
like I plant the thing, you know, I take his hand and I plant the dagger in the table, and then I'm just like, no, look at this with me. Like,
Okay.
Wait, is there actually a dagger? I thought you were just
no,
making
there's
it
no
up.
dagger. He meant the pin. When Lane said
It's
that,
a big pin, to be fair.
it is a big pin. You could stab someone with it, as has been
But-
shown.
anyways, yeah.
Okay,
What
so you've
we're
got
about
the
right now.
diary. You can spend some time flipping through it if you want.
Would it be investigation?
You don't have to roll. You just need to spend the time.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so
Um,
we leaf through it and are looking for any clues or
It's mostly song titles for his idea for a band, Halvin and the Chipmunks.
Oh my god.
So you flip through
See,
it.
That's why he's in conflict with the Wood Elves, because the
right.
Chipmunks were in an elven band, and you know he's trying to like.
He's been capturing and trying to train chipmunks, and when they don't do what he wants them to, he murders them viciously.
feed them to his-
Halvin. All right. So reading through it, you can determine it's a fairly like in-depth. It's written by someone who is used to writing, right? Like it's not this kind of like awkward, like he writes at regular intervals and keeps track. It's to like organize his thoughts and like keep track of things. So it appears after about 10 minutes of looking, you find that he's been sent specifically to Flan from elsewhere, so that he can treat with the Fae of the Quivering Forest to convince them to break their pact with the town, because his employers intend eventually the downfall of Flan, and his job is to convince the elves to be like, we're gonna fuck Flan up. You just stay in the woods, all right? So that's why he came here. He'd been sending letters and gifts to the elves and Fae of the forest, but his messages were either not being received or being ignored. This is a point of some frustration, where he's like, we've expended a great amount of gold buying gifts for these filthy elves, and nothing. They won't even respond. So after months of no progress on that front, he attempted multiple times, like, to ask permission to enter the forest to treat with them directly. That's what all the presents were for. He just got sick of waiting and ran out of patience. And there's an entry that's like, I'm going to enter the forest on my own, and just decided to go and to do that. You can see here that he had intended to visit Greenhall. It's the closest thing to an elvish settlement in this part of the forest, and had a general idea of where he could seek out one Jenny Greenteeth, who was supposedly an influential member of her race.
Here's a question:
Yes.
how is he delivering these gifts?
He sent them by messenger.
Maybe an imp.
No. So this is the thing. There is an entry here where he expressly goes on a bit of a rant, and his handwriting is like a little sloppier than usual in this one. And he goes on a tear about how disappointed he is in his familiar, who's too afraid to enter the forest. And the last entry, set just over a month ago, is like, well, forget Pip Yap, forget these elves. I'm gonna go and do this. I'm gonna do this myself. And he says, I'm storing this away so that if any other member of the cult finds my diary, you know where I've gone. I do this, as we all do, for the dragons. And then he signs like his name. He's like, that's it, I'm done. Book's in, hid it away, and then led for the forest.
Always dragons.
How much is this silver dragon box worth?
Like 15 gold, probably.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I stow it in my pack.
All right.
Cool.
Well, let's leave our friend to look over this table, and I like motion at the hairpin and be on our way.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
And then like once
Nothing
we're
else to be gained
outside,
there.
there was that elf who lives in town. Maybe we should talk to them.
Yes,
ranger.
Seralis or Sarah.
Ceralis.
Yes, I was right. Mispronunciation, but I was right.
Cialis.
Yes.
He's a hard man to make an appointment with.
Yes, perhaps he would be helpful.
Yes.
He lives
because-
in the woods.
In the woods?
He lives at the edge of the woods. He's a ranger. Anyone in town can point you to where his cabin is. He
Well-
technically doesn't violate the thing by living or going into the woods, but they say he's
I mean,
an elf
he
anyway.
is an elf and
That's what they
not
say.
human, so
Yeah.
we should go and find him.
Let's go to his house.
Off we go then.
All right. You don't want to investigate the barn while you're here?
Probably has cows in it.
It probably doesn't.
Oh right, no. So this was Granger's Grangle's.
Grangle's barn.
Yeah, let's go investigate.
We
that.
should check out the barn. Yeah.
Okay. So you head over to the barn.
It's full of monsters, isn't it? That's why he wants to go here.
No. I just want to give you an opportunity. I didn't want you to forget the barn existed.
I had forgotten that the barn existed.
So the barn looks like from the outside it's been abandoned, but there are more imp tracks outside, as well as some like stains of blood. And inside, you have to like, because the door is it's been like shut so people won't sneak into it. It's been like barred, but it's broken. You can kind of like pull it aside. You can sneak in, and inside, amidst the kind of the old hay and the dust coming down from the broken ceiling, there is a burlap satchel on the floor that's been like stuffed with hay and fashioned into a little bed, burlap bed. There's a tipped over milk can and like sour milk spilt all over the floor. There's several blood stains and like sort of smears around on the ground. And it smells like rotting meat in here.
Well, I cased the joint because clearly an imp would hide treasure somewhere.
Charming.
Yeah. So yeah, like searching the room, you do find stuffed into the sack, like hidden inside his little bed. Pip Yap has stored a tin, basically worthless tin cup. There's 10 gold in various coins. A
Great.
comb made out of bone, worth 5 gold, and a scroll, a magical scroll.
Ooh.
Yeah. If you take a look at it,
Yeah,
Anastasia,
what kind of scroll is this?
it is a scroll of chromatic orb.
Ooh.
New scroll. What dis?
Yeah.
Just throw orbs of element.
And I pass it to Anastasia.
Oh,
That's valuable.
Is
Chromatic
chromatic orb on your spell list?
I will check.
Cool.
It's on the sorcerer list, I know.
It's on the sorcerer list, but I don't think it's on the warlock list. Actually,
I think none of us can use it, unfortunately.
I will check.
Well, you can sell it. I mean, chromatic orb has like some really expensive ingredients.
And actually looking
Diamond or something.
looking at the orb scroll, Graveris, there's an entry in the diary you remember now that you have context. You like glossed over, but there's an entry like, where did my scroll go? I wrote the scroll yesterday, and he lost his scroll, and he's real pissed about it, and he spends several days being like, still can't find that scroll. What's going on?
Also, no, I can't cast it.
Okay.
Right.
Well, money.
It's not on my spell list anyway. I don't know if scrolls are
Yeah, that means I remember we were talking about this. You can't cast it unless it's on your spell list already.
lame.
But you could sell it. You could find someone to buy it. Oh, that's fine. Or you could just switch to a sorcerer for one adventure, cast it, and then switch back.
Game the system.
So yeah, you have this scroll. You can write it on your inventory.
Okay.
All right, so you're gonna head off and try to find. Now it's getting dark.
Yay.
You can go visit Ceralis, but by the time you get there, it will be dark out.
Yay.
On the way, I know you're very, very excited, but I think Lane stops before we get there and says, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to impact the negotiations if you're there. And he's looking like directly at you, Oleander.
What?
Though they aren't prejudices I hold, I understand there are definite difficulties between your races. I just wonder if perhaps things would go smoother if you weren't
You have
Press-
no problem with me wandering around with humans, but the first time another elf is about, you're like, no, Oleander, don't go in, Oleander. He might get angry with you, Oleander. Really?
It's more for the success of our mission than for his own personal safety.
If he's living here, he's just as much an outcast as she is.
Well, very well.
I will
it'll be
keep
meant.
my hood up and my mouth shut if that will make things easier for you.
Not for me, for us, and also for you.
For in terms of like lore, I'm not super familiar with the relationship that you're speaking of. Can you fill me in?
Oh, yeah. Elves and Drow hate each other more than like any other two races in D&D.
Like the most.
Yes,
The most.
the absolute most, 100%.
Like he might, if he is still like a loyal-ish elf, just try and kill you on sight, sort of.
Yeah, because in ancient times, their god banished your god and your people into the deep
Into
parts of
the
the earth for
Underdark,
betraying
into
them.
the darkness. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, but me not being in the Underdark is like,
it's an affront. It's
an
like
affront.
we sent you down there because that's where you belong, and how
Mm.
dare you come up here and even set foot in our beautiful land because you're
Yeah.
horrible and go back down there. Get back in your
There's a
stupid
bunch
cave.
of circumstances to mitigate it. I don't know how this character is going to be written, and I thought I would warn you about it in
Yeah.
case you're just trying to like talk to him and he just like shoots you. And
Yeah,
then
it's a
you're
good
like,
it's a good point to address that, like, culturally, in ascending order of racistness, like Wood, Moon, and Sun Elves all dislike the Drow because of, you know, millennia of racial tension between them. But not every elf is like elfdom is not a monoculture, so not every elf will necessarily be like, because my people believe this, I also believe it. But it's culturally ingrained, so it's a thing that might
oh
cause
yeah.
problems.
And I mean, just having been thrown out from the Underdark, Oleander's not exactly the typical drow either. So, but yeah, I get it. I feel it. I feel you.
cool. Yeah, if you wanna go for it. Be my
No, I
guest,
would
especially-
I would be familiar with the fact that he would be likely to totally hate me then, I suppose. And you know,
But it's a cool opportunity for role playing as well. If you
no
decide to.
opportunities for a harem this time. Rats.
It's okay. I'll wait outside with you.
I mean, do I have to?
Oh.
Fine, it's fine. We can burn his house down later.
Yes, that's definitely the diplomatic solution to your problems.
Go on.
So, despite the fact that it's night, you want to head towards the cabin.
Yeah, he should be there. Oh wait, no, he's probably hunts at night.
Never know. You can go check it out. You could wait for him there, or
Let's
just
check.
have a look around. Okay. All right. So you follow a narrow, twisting path into the woods. Like, technically, he lives in the kind of the like no man's land between the village and the woods. Probably the villagers are too afraid to come this far, even into the woods, but they give you directions to there. You follow this narrow path. It twists through the woods and leads out into a small glade where a babbling stream tumbles past a cabin built of natural timber and a sod roof. The only sign of occupancy is a small garden along one side of the cabin with a number of herbs and vegetables growing in neat rows, watched over by a scarecrow. Little stuffed man, kind of like looking comically over the field. As you approach, you hear around the back a rhythmic like thumping sound. You hear like thunk, and then like rattling, and then a moment, and then thunk, and then more rattling from around the other side of the cabin.
Perhaps Gravaris and I should go along and leave you here.
And like she just rolls her eyes and like puts up her hood and like,
Yes, very well. We'll wait here. You go and find the information.
You ugly ones, stay here and we'll go be handsome elves. This is what Lane is saying. But anyway,
This cuts
Lane's a
me to the
human.
quick.
I don't know actually. I've thought about it. Yes, if we are in trouble, or if we require your assistance, then I will
Just
say
scream or something.
Yes, if you run into any further imps or demons or other such things, just yell.
okay.
All right, so we go around the back of the cabin.
Yes, and in an uncharacteristic move, Graveris announces his presence with his voice before arriving.
Wow, that must be hard for you.
It feels gross.
Feels bad.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so I mean, the sound stops as you say that. You come around the corner, and you see, and you've not surprised him, so he's not like startled or anything. You see a man. He's currently, the sound was him chopping wood. So he's got an axe in his hands. There's a big pile of cut logs, kind of like laying at his feet. He's got his shirt off and it's hanging on a tree nearby. And so you can see like his skin is this sort of like silvery gray color. Kind of like the color of the sky on a like a real overcast day in Flan. Sort of silvery color, and it's darker, like in his cheeks and across his shoulders. It goes almost to like a dusk color. He has long white hair that he has pulled back in a braid, and pointy ears that again like darken to like a dark gray at their tips. He turns, and you see he's got these like brilliant like violet eyes that like sparkle in the moonlight through the trees. And he turns and he sees you, and a look of concern falls over his face, and he sees the two of you, and he says, "You're from the village, I presume."
We've come from the village, though not originally.
He smiles. Yes, of
Scott, is
course.
he also drow?
What's that?
Like looking at this dude, is he also
Sounds
drow?
like Moon Elf, right?
No, moon elves. They are like milk white, with
okay.
like blue, like bluish skin. He's definitely not dark enough to be a drow. His ears aren't long enough either for him
Is he
to
like
be
half?
a drow. Could be.
Yeah, it was the white hair. I was like, oh, that's normally a drow. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely not a gold
Violet
elf or
eyes,
not a
too.
gold elf or a wood elf for sure. And he thunk like puts the axe in the log that he's cutting on and starts walking over towards his tunic, which is hanging from the tree. You also notice that there's a longbow, like a really like a nice, elegant looking longbow nearby, and some arrows. But he doesn't walk towards that. He walks over to his clothes.
We were hoping to ask you some questions.
He nods. Of course. And your friends are on the front. You can tell them they're welcome here. And he pulls his shirt down, pulls it over his head, starts lacing it up. He says, I have some cider inside. It's just finished being prepared. It's getting cold. Why don't we go in there? Please. And he gestures around the side of the house.
Yeah, I look at Gravaris for a second and kind of like raise an eyebrow because, well,
I just shrug.
I say, perhaps before you invite them inside, this may be an indelicate question. So feel free, obviously, not to answer, but you don't remind me perhaps of any elf I've met before.
He laughs, and the sound of his laughter is like, it's so beautiful. Like something inside you just like twinges at this like sound of him laughing, and he smiles and shakes his head, and he says, no, and delicately put, very diplomatic, certainly more so than I'm used to. The people of the village told you I'm an elf, I'm sure, but they're only half right. And he looks at Graveris kind of like knowingly, like.
But perhaps the elven half, not a surface dwelling variety.
He shakes his head. No, my mother was a drow.
Right. Then yes, perhaps others can join us.
So he comes around the corner, and I think that you, Anastasia and Oleander, you see the three of them come around towards you, and you catch your first glimpse of him. And he walks over towards you. What are the two of you doing?
I mean, I had just sat myself down on the ground here, just waiting for this to be over. So when they emerge, I, stand up, sort of brush myself off a bit, like, okay, they're coming to get us, I guess.
I was like kicking the dirt and like grumbling under my breath, and then they like turn the corner, like not obviously trying to not see me or whatever. And so I turn around and I'm just like,
Yeah. And he walks over to you, Oleander, and he like deep bow, and says in Undercommon, he says, blessings of the goddess upon you, matron, and like lowers his. He does. It's a very specific kind of bow of like a subservient.
yeah. And she kind of like grits her teeth a little bit. And she says, yes, it's been a long time since I've heard Undercommon. In Undercommon.
Yeah. He replies and he says, 10,000 apologies if I offend you with my direct speech. And he's being like super subservient and like talking to you the way that like a servant would talk to like royalty. Like he's being very correct. He says, my mother taught me the correct forms, but I've forgotten so much.
And she's like,
and there's an implicit in the language he's speaking.
Yeah.
There's an implicit invitation to correct him if he's making a mistake or offending you in some way.
Yeah.
And there's
I
this
get
bit
it.
like as you walk around the corner and Anastasia like looks at Gravaris for a bit and then sees this guy and then Gravaris is just like standing there and I think he has to be like super aware of the fact that
Wait,
Lane just gets really uncomfortable.
yeah, I'm just imagining it. If it's not true, it's fine.
Yeah,
I
guess what it sounds like Dave is asking here is how is Gravaris responding to this?
He's being a
Oh, I
little
mean,
bit
I find it a little. I don't speak that language, so I don't know what's being said.
Yeah.
But he seems like he's being really obsequious, which I just find irritating. I'm drinking his cider.
Well, you haven't gone inside yet, but yes, you can drink his cider soon.
can I look at him and I'm like making a decision in my head as to whether just like let him do what he's been taught or be like, no, dude, it's fine. Like,
he's doing this thing where he's looking very close to your eyes, but not making eye contact. Like he's looking
Okay.
like at your mouth while you're talking.
can I just I reached down, I reached for his face and I like raised his chin up a little bit. And in Undercommon, I say things are different here.
Okay. Yeah. When you touch him, he like shivers noticeably. And he says to you, not so different, I hope.
And I just smile and like walk toward the house.
I'm
Okay. Cool. Yeah, he lets you lead into his house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the inside of his little cabin, it smells of like he's got herbs and stuff like hanging that he grew in his garden, like hanging to dry by the windowsill. The place has sort of like a tart like alcoholic smell in the air, and on the table there's a big like urn or a jug of homemade cider. And he says to you, Gravaris, and he switches to common, and he says, I've lived a long time, and I have to say, this batch is the best yet. And he looks around and he's like, a glass for everyone?
please.
Okay. So he goes over to the cupboard and he takes out a mismatched set of cups and places them out on the table and pours cider for everyone. And he looks to you, Anastasia, and he says, what would he says in Draconic, which you speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he says in Draconic, And it's again, he's real good with the languages. So the way he's speaking Draconic, because Draconic is a very hierarchically oriented language, because it's used for dragons to communicate with, you know, each other, but also lessers. So it's probably
Yes.
kind of like there's a lot of formality built into it. He addresses you as if you were the more important of the two of you, like as if you would talk to a dragon. But he does so in kind of like a teasing or joking way, where he's like pretending to be like kind of pompous.
It's like I'm sort of mocking you.
No,
by
he's mocking himself. So he's being
Or it's like
overly
playful.
yeah, he's being
Okay.
overly formal intentionally to be like playful about
Yeah,
it.
it's like the
definitely.
equivalent of like referring to someone as your Royal Highness for like no reason.
Right, exactly. Like it's yeah, the equivalent of him being like "milady" and like joking
Yeah.
around, and so he says something to the effect of you know, I apologize for not having introduced myself to you earlier, but I prefer to save the greatest for last. You know, your scaly eminence, and you know, does a big theatrical bow to you while this, you know, hissing to you in Draconic.
Not entirely sure how to take that, but just responds, you know, gives him a nod and says, Anastasia Cinderfell, pleasure.
And he smiles and he switches to Common, and he says, "What an unusual name for." I'm sorry, I don't know the formal word for your people.
I just say kobold and draconic.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is a word very close to rat.
Yeah. He quirks his eyebrow and he says, "That's interesting. I would have thought." Well, if you say so. I don't think I've ever seen one of you alone before.
I haven't always been. It's not important. Thank you for the cider.
Yeah, he hands it to you, and it's like a big like mug of it, and he says, "Well,
Both hands.
yeah." He's like, "Well, finish the cider, and then perhaps you'll be more in the mood to tell me your story." And he pulls out a stool for you, and gestures for you to sit.
Yeah, I just get comfy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and he seats everyone around the table, and he sits down and pours a glass in order. He pours for Oleander, then Anastasia, then Graveris, then Lane, then himself. And intentionally, like he goes around the table to do that, and then he sits down.
Is he sitting next to me?
I don't know. Is there an empty seat next to you?
I mean, if I could like make it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Oleander would like on purpose be like,
Gravaris goes to sit down, you like physically push him.
I would have sat down first because my whole goal was to get some cider.
Yeah, Graveris is already seated.
Just chilling.
So Oleander, I guess the question is, I love that this is a thing. Do you sit down next to Graveris on purpose, or do you sit like across the table from him?
I mean, I think I'm kind of like this guy.
Literally everything that you do is a signal to
Yeah,
Sorellis.
because-
Like
yeah.
everything, because Drow society is so structured.
Matriarchal.
Like where you sit, the way you look and speak at like people, like all of that stuff is saying you're secretly speaking another language about your position in the group and in the room and in society at large.
Okay, so I guess I sit. Yeah, I sit next to Gravaris being like this guy, and then I'm like, also you here.
Right. Okay. So what you're trying to establish is like this one already belongs to me, but there's space on the
So
other side.
in Oleander's mind,
Of course.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, he looks at the seat and again looks to you, but doesn't make eye contact, as if waiting for like specific invitation. And then when you're like, you pat it and like have a seat, then he sits. And he's not treating like Graveris. He's not treating you. He's not being a dick to you. Like he's not giving you the cold shoulder. He's like, you know, treating you like you're someone to be respected. But isn't. Yeah, he's definitely
He's just
being like
stuck in his slave mindset. That's all.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cultural baggage to deal with. So he sits and then he says to, I guess, Lane, because now you're sitting across the table from him. He says to you, he says, I knew only foul would befell these people if they go into the forest. The elves there are, well, they don't like the humans very much, and for good reason, as I understand it. Not that you're making a mistake helping them. They need all the help they can get, but
Yeah, and Graveris is just like, what's not to love about them? In this like dripping with irony. Right?
Yeah. And he sighs and he says, it's so easy to disregard humans. They live such short lives, but they burn so brightly. Their passion is admirable. And he's saying this like to Lane, but he's speaking to Graveris.
I'm just like, ugh.
I've definitely seen them burning.
And he says, so the ones that went into the forest, they still haven't returned.
No.
With the
One of the
exception
ones that
of
went into the
one.
forest
Oh, right.
is a servant of the dragon cult.
He raises an eyebrow. Is that so?
The first, in fact. The others, out of some misguided sense of community, one did return, missing his eyes.
And he like covers his mouth. He's like, oh gods. Who was it?
The boy.
He sighs and looks down, and you actually see like a tear like slide down his perfect slate gray cheek. And he like wipes it away before Oleander can see. And he says, what a shame. Such a nice young man too. I knew all of them. They don't think that I pay attention, but I do. I know all their names. I watch.
Why are you here?
He shrugs. There are so few places in the world for someone like me to go. I keep to myself mostly, but... And he like looks down again.
I know of one place where you might have been welcome had your mother not been, never mind.
Yeah, so let's talk about half drow for a second.
Yeah.
So like a male drow is not allowed to impregnate anybody without a female drow's permission, be they human or drow, right? Like they're very specifically bred. A drow woman who got pregnant with a human, like a half-elf baby, she has made a horrible mistake.
Very bad.
Like incredibly bad slip up. Having sex with a human, whatever, fine. You can do whatever you want. But like getting pregnant by one, what the fuck have you done? Get out of Drow Town. Like his mother probably suffered horribly because of him.
Oh yeah, I bet.
She could have gotten rid of him. Like Lolth.
But she still like taught him drow culture.
Yeah, right. So Lolth and her priesthood have lots of ways of making babies go away before they're born, but she chose to carry him and like teach him about his people. But yeah, this guy's got complicated backstory.
Yeah.
And he's aware of it, and the fact that you're treating him like a person is probably making him both at the same time like incredibly grateful and also terrified that this is just a ruse and later you're gonna like rip his heart out.
There's some discomfort there.
Yeah,
sure.
where he thinks that you're probably just being nice to him so you can make him suffer later and not in a fun way.
So I have another like quick question, and I'll just like drop the lore and just do whatever. But because the male drow more commonly worship Veyron, right?
Yeah, in that they're allowed to have spiritual beliefs. Usually the male drow that worship Veyron are the ones that are like, someday I'm gonna get out of this place and everything's gonna be awesome.
I mean, like that was my shtick.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay. All right. I just wanted to be like clear. He's all off and shit. He's got brain problems.
I mean, maybe you don't know what god he worships, but he definitely is aware of like the cultural protocols that Lolth expects from drow.
Okay. Yeah. That was it. Okay. So yeah.
Okay.
What happened to your mother?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You asking what happened to your mother?
Yes.
He shakes his head and says, he says in Undercommon, he says a phrase that basically carries the meaning like, if this is a situation in which I am allowed to choose what I say, I would rather not talk about it. But if you're commanding me to, I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
That's like 2 words.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm not trying to like say no to you because that's not allowed. I'm not saying no. I'm asking for permission not to do the thing that you want because I don't know how serious you are. Is this a command or a request?
And like I basically just like I don't know if there's even a word for it in Undercommon, but I'm just like
it's a fantasy language.
You're allowed to say no.
Right. Yeah. And it's like it's a gift, really, like the allowance of saying no. It's like, yeah. And so he kind of like looks at you like he's surprised. And then in common, so the two of them have this very short interchange, and in common, he says, it's a sad story. And then he looks at Anastasia and he's like, but some stories are better after a drink or two. Maybe later.
I would like to say that as soon as he looks at me, half of that mug of cider, the one that's like this, is already gone.
Yeah.
Like I've been...
And it's so good too. Like everyone who has drank the cider, it's fucking awesome. He is not lying. He is a cider master, this guy.
I seeing that, like, at some point have tried to surreptitiously slide my glass over to Anastasia because I don't think like
Oh God, you're giving
still
like
drinks.
you're
You're
giving
a
like
teetotaler?
Sorry. Lane is nailed to the X. Lane doesn't
You're-
drink. Come on.
you're giving the like 2'8", 25-pound kobold more
I seem to be
alcohol.
enjoying it the most.
It's delicious. I drink it all.
I don't know if like I would like take a sip and be like, yeah, this is good, but I'm not like just gonna guzzle the cider in front of him. Yeah.
So Guerreros will keep us on topic here.
I'm gonna go so far off topic.
I love this NPC. I love him.
Plan is full of sad stories. This is just yet another in a long line. But maybe one that we can turn for the better. And that's what we're here to do.
And he says, well, that's good, at least. I suspect many folk of your sort, adventurers, I mean, would just be here to take the villager's coin and move along.
If it were corn I was after, there are better places to go looking for it.
He nods. That's true.
No, we want to deal with some clear and present threats to stability in this area. We represent parties who are interested in preserving the state of things, though who must operate in the shadows.
He watches you as you speak. I guess he's leaning over, looking at you past Oleander, 'cause it's like a circular table. And he says, I understand. I'll do whatever I can to help.
Wonderful.
That's
Man,
interesting.
wood carver.
He nods when you say the wood carver. He says, Halvin.
Say you watch people.
I do, when I can.
Did you notice his imp? Did you notice his behavior that strayed outside of his cover story?
I did. He didn't seem to be doing anyone any harm, and while the presence of a creature such as that, and he like glances at Anastasia, is occasionally cause for distress, I didn't think that the old man was a threat to the village or anyone around him. He mostly kept to himself. Some of us have stranger proclivities than others, old debts to repay, that sort of thing.
Yes. No aspersion on you for not ratting him out. No, I'm simply wondering if you noticed anything else strange about him, or if you saw who he was using as a go-between, sending messages to the elves.
Is that what was going on? No, there had been folk once in a while traveling into the forest, but I thought them to be allies of the elves. They were dressed as druids. I see now that that was a ruse. Interesting. What sort of messages was he carrying into the woods?
It's currying their favor.
A hard thing to do, I think, if you're a human.
Violence.
And who do you say that this hermit worked for?
In service to the dragons.
More dragons.
More dragons.
There are a few that dwell in the Quivering Forest. Blue ones. Older. They've been busy of late.
There are dragons in the...
He nods and looks to you. Yes, not many. Certainly less than there were. They don't get along well with the elves, but keep to themselves for the most part. Spend much of their time sleeping, hoarding treasure, things dragons do. But of late, the last year or so, waking up more, calling allies to them, that sort of thing.
Well, as we said, there's something about Graveris. You said something about dragons from the wizard.
The
Right.
cult.
I think perhaps that may have something to do with what they want in there. If they're not in agreement with the elves, then conflict is, enemies on one side fighting each other makes it easier for the dragons. And this is all like very sort of, she's clearly talking to herself, like reasoning through like something.
Is she very drunk
And
at the moment?
she's definitely a little drunk. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine like drinking a cider the size of your head is probably like not super great for your constitution.
She is, as they say, turned the fuck up.
Good drunk kobold hiccup at the end of the sentence.
Do you have any relationships with the elves in the forest? Do you speak with them? Are you able to contact them?
He gives you a look like that, like he's like you're intentionally trying to hurt his feelings. Like you've said that specifically to make him say that he doesn't, so that he's like embarrassed and hurt. He looks at you like what he did wrong. He's not sure, so he kind of looks a little hurt.
I'm like this whole time like edging closer to Gravaris. Like this guy is just. I left the Underdark, man. Okay.
And yeah, like I'll chime in, seeing this interaction and like maybe seeing that Oleander isn't quite getting what she's doing to him. I'll just chime in to say, like, not being from around here, we don't know if these elves have different habits or prejudices, perhaps, than others.
Yeah, he nods and he says, "You'd think that being only half the thing they'd hate would give me some leeway with them. Turns out it makes them only hate me more."
I have learned that people hate things they can see that they hate.
I like scoot L like try, I guess. I guess you're across the table. Never mind. I would be like looking at your drink like, oh my god. Like
Yeah, he nods, like respectfully, like you've just said something very wise.
Indeed.
In particular, there's one Jenny Greenteeth, a
When you say that, he like spits on the floor, like just like he doesn't actually like spit, but he makes like a spitting sound, and then says something in Elvish, like a little rhyme in Elvish, real quick, and like taps the table. And he
like it's some kind of like knock on wood sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's like a superstitious, like, don't say that name. Now we got to do the thing. Someone said Macbeth in a theater, you know.
Yeah.
I see. It's like that. We have good reason to believe she is involved with the return of the boy.
He sighs and says, if he spent any time in the presence of that hag, I fear for his mind. The poor thing. He looks at Oleander and then looks at you and says, say what you will. For my kind, at least we have the honest dignity to wear our darkness on the outside. That old witch, she's rotten on the inside. Terrible thing. Sometimes immortality is a blessing, but for her, I think it's a curse. And for all of us that she's still alive. A black stain, that one is.
That was the thing I was trying to say, visibility. You can't look at her and see that she's evil.
All
It
right.
seems that the wizard going into the woods has incited her wrath, which now falls upon the town folk.
I told them not to go, that it would only make it worse.
Well,
If they were lucky, Halvin would have been the only victim, but now I think the whole town is caught up in this. They asked me to lead them, into the woods. I said I wouldn't. I wonder if it's my fault. I should have tried harder to dissuade them. They're all cursed now, certainly.
there is no correcting the behavior of fools with their hearts set on a goal.
However, if you do feel the burden of some responsibility, I believe our task in protecting this town, correcting a clear and now much more present threat to the surrounding lands, is to deal with her somehow. We would welcome your assistance, I'm sure. I'll look around at the rest.
I very, very carefully don't show like that I want him to come with us, because I'm afraid that he wouldn't make his own decision if I did.
Yes, help. Good. Help will. Well, maybe we won't get caught out.
Like grumbling, sliding down in your chair.
Yeah, there's this like moment where it's like, no, I'm not falling asleep.
Maybe like I pull the half, like 3/4 full one of my own. So
I just like back away.
Oh, maybe I will drink this.
Dumps it in like a pot somewhere.
Look, these things may all be related or may not be. It could be that this was simply a coincidence. Regardless, we need to put a stop to this aggression and see if we can dissuade the hag from pursuing this any further.
Okay,
Then-
you wanna try to convince him to like come with you?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think
That's fine.
Rivera's is helping by being clear about what their mission is, and hopefully that it is aligns with what this guy would want.
Okay, yeah. You've got disadvantage on the roll because he's terrified of
Jenny.
of Jenny. He doesn't want to have any fucking thing to do with her. But you can still make the roll, and if you have like pressure from two of you, then you can just
Yeah,
and maybe I'm like nudging Oleander to speak up with my elbow, like
And I
Oh,
like
I mean,
look at you
on the
and I'm
fly.
just like, you have to like I'm just like with my eyes, and like if I say anything, like he'll probably come with us. Like, is that what you
don't help me.
want?
Does
Like,
it help me?
I mean, I figured I started that line of question by
yeah.
appealing to his sense of guilt over the like fate of the villagers, right? I said if he has any remorse over this, then he's welcome to help us. And then Gravaris is like
Yeah.
helping me, I think.
Okay, cool.
Is that reasonable, Adam?
yeah, I think that makes sense. Let me just jump back over here, and we'll get you to make that roll.
Okay.
What's your bonus?
4.
Would be
Like,
better if I did it, but whatever.
Okay. I mean, if you want to.
No,
yeah,
you
I
roll.
brought it.
You roll,
Yeah,
because
you make
that's
the
what the
roll.
fiction demands of us. I'm just being cheeky.
It's fine.
This is just me giving Dave a hard time.
Oh yeah, it would be
Boom!
better if you rolled it.
fucking critical Dave's over here. Wow.
It just means in combat I'm going to die again.
Yeah.
I'm not getting from all these good rolls earlier.
Rip.
I mean, without my help, it would have been a 10.
Yeah.
So, you know.
All right. Well, he doesn't even get to make a daving throw. He's done.
Oh,
So yeah, he's convinced, but on condition. So you can't convince him to go like join the party, but he does say this. He says, you appeal to his guilt. You can see him, struggling a little bit, and he says, I'll go with you. I can take you as far as Greenhall, which I hope isn't a fool's errand, but it's the best that I can do. If you want to find Jenny Greenteeth, you'll have to do it on your own. I can't in good conscience take you to such a den of evil. I hope you understand. This isn't cowardice. I don't want you to find that place.
of course.
In the meantime, it's been a really long day. I'm so tired. Oh my god, there's a bedroom right there.
I mean, my next move was gonna be like all this serious discussion is happening, and I've just been slowly making my way through that whole cider, so it's gone, you know, and
Yep. I like that. Anastasia cider fell.
I have,
Like
I have a question for you, elf friend.
And he looks at you.
Have you ever been short and scaly?
He shakes his head and he says, "No, I don't think I've ever had the honor."
It's interesting. It's really hard to find shoes that fit.
He kind of like leans over and notices, yeah, you're not wearing shoes.
Yeah, because they got like
Yeah, you
little
got claws and
claws.
stuff. Yeah. He nods and he says, "Well, contrary to what some folk might have heard, elves don't tend to make very good cobblers, so I can't help you in that regard."
Also, tails are awkward.
Is this just like Anastasia needs to get some stuff off?
Yeah,
her chest?
she's literally just like doing the whole like, because she's tried to be like so like matter of fact about it, but she's drunk now and things are weird. Okay, I gotta say some stuff. That's kind of it, you know.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, and he listens very politely to anything you have to say and like treats it with dignity
I
and
think
respect.
that if
Assuming no one
Anastasia,
shuts me up, yeah. I
if
tell
you're
the
just
whole
going on
story.
and he's just like politely listening to you, like I'm like casually like touching him and like watching like his face, like, seeing if he can hold himself together.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean he's paying attention to her, but he's well trained. And is maybe like has been prepared for being like tormented and is reacting appropriately.
Yeah.
Like he's letting you know that he like that you're fucking with him. But is also like paying attention to Anastasia and like treating her with respect too. He's pretty good at this.
I just go through the whole story. I tell him everything that's happened.
Right.
I get bored very early on and go.
Yeah, I think
like rest for a minute.
how awkward it is for him. I think I take pity on him and I say, "Well, it seems like our negotiations with you are complete. We should go and prepare for the journey. We'll have to be up
Yes,
early."
right. Prepare.
Yeah, and so you start to stand, and he looks around and he says, "I'm sorry. I know it's a long walk back to the village. I have no. This space is very humble. I don't have room enough for everyone, I'm afraid. But," and he gestures like at the door, and he says, "But the yard outside is clear, and a safe place to make camp if you wish to rest the night here instead."
Yeah, it's fine. Benefit is I don't need a lot of space.
I'd rather not go back to that village and be asked another 100 times who I am, where I'm from, and why my ears are pointy.
He nods.
Take you up on that offer.
I'm already half passed out on the table.
Yeah, you could just curl up under the table or on it. It doesn't matter. Curl up around the jug with your little tail on
Dogs are
it.
nice little house pets that way. They just kind of sleep wherever. And
Well, scales probably help that. I'm
Mhm.
not, like you're not gonna get so poked by like objects and weird.
Yeah, I mean you're engineered for sleeping on like cave floors and stuff. so-
Exactly. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Oleander would definitely be like, "Oh, outside."
Yeah, I mean he made it clear he was addressing everyone but you when he said that.
Yeah.
He would never deign to like expect you to sleep outside. Yeah.
Gervais will just like be like, you can set up over, like I'll point to a spot in the yard while talking to Oleander and be like, we'll save space for you there. And I walk outside expecting you to follow.
And I don't.
And then I go set up camp.
Okay. Well, so here's the thing. You go towards the door, and you reach out to open it to grab the handle, and there's a sudden loud bang as the cabin door shutters and slams open. the door is like basically like torn from its hinges, and standing outside, like right outside, maybe illuminated by moonlight from behind to make it extra spooky, you see a man-sized pile of straw and burlap in the doorway. A jagged tear across his face makes a twisted, malevolent sneer. And at the same time, you hear the high-pitched laughter of a she-hag as all the windows in the place burst in, like sending glass shards into the room, and writhing masses of thick vine start to fill the cabin.
Please.
Let the record show that Lane is not surprised.
Yes, Lane.
Yeah, like I see this scarecrow and I'm just like,
Fucking told you guys.
That's bursting vines and like malevolent scarecrows.
Damn it.
Very very easy way to sober up like pretty quickly.
But
Yeah, I won't in the ensuing battle. I won't make you like disadvantaged because you're drunk, because that would be mean. In fact, everybody, if you don't have it already, take inspiration. We don't have enough time to, I don't think, do the whole fight, and I think this is a good place for us to stop for the day. We can start with the big scarecrow vine battle next time.
We missed a break in there somewhere.
Exactly, yeah, and that was the other thing. Is like we could take a break and then come back for 10 minutes.
All this flim flam of roleplay.
All this roleplay flim flam.
Hey, it was wonderful flim flam.
it was really great. Flim flam.
Yeah, this is I think a great example of how you can have a great time playing D&D wrong, but also how changing the reward structure of Dungeons and Dragons changes the priority. Because if we were playing this standard D&D where you only get experience for monsters and stuff, you could consider this session kind of a waste because you wouldn't have got experience for it. But all the little things that you're doing, interacting with the NPCs and stuff, the adventure will reward you for in experience. So
we killed the tiny imp.
I killed an imp.
You killed an imp. You'll get points for that. But also, like the investigation, like the rest of the adventures in this set, have other sort of story focused goals. But yeah, this was a really fun session. I like when I get to play NPCs. And to answer your question, I saw it in chat, but didn't want to address it right away, Oleander. The only thing that it says about Ceralis in this adventure is that he's a half-elven ranger. Just there's no other stuff.
So you added all that flavor just for me.
All that stuff is because it would be part of, if you want to run, and this is just like general, like this is good GM practice. If you want to run a pre-designed adventure for an existing party, you know enough about that party to make it more interesting and more grabby for them particularly. Yeah. And that was just it was a real good opportunity for me to be like, ooh, let's do this thing and have some awkward elf times.
Yeah, that was definitely a good choice.
Super awkward. Fun, right? Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. I think I'm actually, I hate a lot about drow as a thing in D&D. Like I think they're lazy, not the race, but the creation of them and the inclusion of them in the thing. I think there's a lot of really problematic stuff about them, but I also think that it's kind of neat to like deconstruct that and look at like how people's culture affects them behaviorally and how you can be an outsider to your culture, but also subscribe to certain values of it. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's not like you just say like, hey guy, like I don't want to like torture you all the time. Like I'm not that kind of drow. You don't just like come out and say that to somebody.
Yeah, well, and it's complicated, especially in a society like the drow are presented that is very stratified and like, he could very easily just be trying to protect himself. He probably, or maybe doesn't have any personal interest in you, but doesn't want you to like summon spiders in his pancreas. So, use one of those horrifying tentacle rods on him.
I mean, summoning spiders.
Stab a long hairpin through his heart.
Yeah.
I heard some people do that.
Elf witch.
I played elf witches.
Elf witch. Cool. All right. Well, let's close it on up because I got prep for tomorrow to do.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So much stuff.
No, it's been a good couple episodes. That last Apocalypse World was great. This was great.
Oh my god.
We're on a roll. I'm digging it.
It's definitely a good series.
You should take the wrong cold medicine more often.
I guess so. Just here you go. If you want to be a good dungeon master, here's what happens: get the flu, take the wrong quill, and then drink a Red Bull. And you'll be a sweaty role-playing mess by the end of your session.
What? Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, does the adventure at all acknowledge the fact that Jenny Greenteeth exists as a character in real world folklore?
No, it does not.
Okay.
I did not know that was a thing. Somebody in chat was like, "Hey, is that a Dresden Files reference?" And almost all the stuff from Dresden Files is like real folklore. That's interesting.
Yeah, she's a hag in English folklore.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean,
So,
Forgotten
like,
there's a
similar.
ton of precedent in Forgotten Realms for that though, because a lot of the Forgotten Realms gods are from Earth pantheons, but slightly like rebranded or renamed. Like Ogma is like a druid god, I think, like from again, same thing, like
Yeah.
English history. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
I looked up on the break because it like I either thought it was
yeah.
a Forgotten Realms thing. I'd like heard it before somewhere, but it turns out it was from like being in this country, which was weird.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's tell everybody what we're up to, knowing full well we're gonna see them tomorrow. But Elf, do you wanna start? Excellent performance as a slightly drunken kobold. That interaction with Pip Yap, that was great. That was a good time. Thank you for
I
that.
honestly like I was really happy to do those things, and I like doing those things. You know, I do. Well, I mean, just to say something more about that, I really enjoyed the how would you put it, like the perspective shift it must be to be a race you weren't born at, like a fantasy race you weren't born as, and everything that comes with that. It's like such a fucking weird situation, and thinking about that always makes me all like, I want to talk about it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I'm Distracted Elf. You can find me at twitch.tv/distractedelf, where I stream games and so forth, Blood Bowl, XCOM 2, things like that. And of course, here on Fridays as well for Apocalypse World. Oh, and I do Blades in the Dark on my own channel on Monday nights with Andrew. So it's lovely fun.
You know, and two other people.
Well, yes, but if
Context.
they're not in this chat. But yes.
Awesome. I love that you do your outros in character. That's so funny. Thank you, Elf. Andrew, I know you have something to announce.
Don't preempt me with my announcement. Then Trist won't know that I was planning to do it and remembered, and then everyone's been like, I hope Andrew remembers. Well, this is me remembering.
Ooh.
So, hi, I'm Andrew. You can follow me on Twitter at @CommuteandCrow. You can follow me on twitch.tv/actualfactual. And you can watch me later today in the Misclicks Apocalypse World 2nd Edition game that we are starting today. Today will be the first episode, so you can come check that out. You can see me tomorrow in the Roll20 Presents Apocalypse World show, which we do, where I have
So
turned
many
into a faceless,
shows.
So
and
many
I'm going to smash
apocalypses.
everything. And further to all of this, you can support me on Patreon and check out my Magical Girl anime role-playing game that I'm in the process of developing, all of which is happening live over Twitch. So that's ramping back up now that I'm done being ultra sick and ostensibly spending time with my family in December. So
Yay, no more holidays, no more
Yeah,
sickness.
time with your
More
family.
nerd stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that stream is stream's tonight, right? And when are you starting? It's 6
6 p.m. Pacific.
Sweet.
yes,
Well, that's very
there's a
exciting.
bunch of stuff on my Twitter about it. So
Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good. I'm excited about that. Cool stuff. Dave, what's going on over there? I actually wanted to address before you do your thing. We at the beginning of the session, we kind of just had like Lane come back to life, and like it was a thing.
Yeah.
There was a period where you were dead, and then you came back to life. I don't know, like I want to give you authority over that thing. If you felt like writing a short fictional piece about the resurrection of Lane Hustings,
as
that'd
a
be
fan
cool
of your
thing.
character,
Yeah, as a
perhaps
fan
in
of your
some
character.
fiction?
That'd be kind of a cool
Some
thing.
fiction about.
You don't have to. We could just say like it happened in the background. The Harpers took you to a temple and it worked out. But like, you know, if that's the thing you feel like doing, that'd be cool. Yeah, what's your deal? What have you been up to? I saw you streaming the other day. I was in your chat.
You were, yeah.
made me happy.
We've I think for the most part got streaming working again, so that's something that I'm doing. Since I've not made a graphic to like hold it yet, the current plan is going to be that I'm gonna officially stream 3 days a week. And we're looking at potentially Tuesday, earlier today, Thursdays, and then on Saturdays going to be my streaming games. I'm not sure which is going to be which yet, but we're going to do games for 2 and we're going to do design stuff for 1. First project is going to be talking about some stuff so I can record some YouTube stuff to add to a CV, because I'd love to get into game design, like video game design. So we're going to do that with the help of community. And then I think, not to be too copy, I think I might be doing my own TTRPG system, but that's far in the future. So if you're interested in maybe either of these things that we've talked about, you can follow me on Twitter at Dave_the_human, or on Twitch now at /Aurath, AUWRATH.
Awesome.
H.
H. There's somebody else that pronounces it H. I think it's Sam, and that, like, we were talking about it over Christmas, and he was like, everybody's pronouncing the H now, and we got into this conversation about H, and I totally forgot about that. It's good. It's
I
nice.
always said that.
Yeah.
Herb.
Does it count as H speech?
H.
Oh God.
I guess.
All right, Blue Jay, put us out of our misery. Tell us about what you're up to.
Wait, put you out of your misery?
Yeah, the misery of listening to us talk about how to
H.
pronounce things in British.
I'm
Do it, Blue Jay. Be British. Go.
I'm Blue Jay, and I'm not British. I was trained in received pronunciation from somebody who, you know, teaches that. I'm still not very good at it, but you can find me at twitch.tv/bluejay or Twitter bluejay_712, and I will also be here tomorrow.
Yeah, Dad Apocalypse.
That accent gets me every time. I love it. I love it so much.
I hope it's in a good way.
I just said I love it. So yes.
Love is complicated.
I haven't been able to use it because we haven't been talking. We've just been shooting things.
Shooting stuff is also valid.
So, yeah, tomorrow, same time, 11 o'clock, we'll jump back into Apocalypse World. Big doozy event episode last time. I got to go prepare for that. So if you want to,
Holy shit.
if you want to hang out in about 10 minutes or so, I'll be doing my prep for that, right here on the channel. If you have enjoyed, what you saw today, definitely check out everybody's, individual stuff. You can find me when I'm not here doing this, at, twitch.tv/Adam Coble, or on Twitter at Skinny Ghost. I'm GMing some other stuff elsewhere. We've got a new game of Fate coming up, so if you're interested in Fate Accelerated, you want to see some weird sci-fi, that's a new thing we'll be doing over with Roleplay at ItMeJP in January. I just play role-playing games all the damn time. So that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much. This is a really good one. You know, we go through these phases of being like Dungeons and Dragons.
I
and
think
then being
so,
like,
yeah.
Yay, D&D. So it's, you know, it's good. I'm glad that we got to have a little bit of breathing room for this adventure. Hopefully no crocodile summoning in the near future. We'll keep on the positive. And we will see everybody next week for more adventure. So thanks for coming. See you around. Bye, everybody.